but maybe I borrowed from Sister Corbin's Facebook page. When I was putting these slides together, I saw this picture and I thought, this is perfect. I just loved it because it says, Esther, she didn't stay still. She stepped into purpose. You were born for such a time as this. Why were you born the year you were born? We weren't born in the 1800s or the 1700s. We were born now. God had a purpose for Esther. She was stolen out of her village because she was beautiful and taken to the palace. She didn't know the reason why. She just had to step into her purpose. And she literally saved the life of her people by being brave and standing up for what was right. What is the Lord's purpose for you? You know, He has a plan. He has a plan for you, and He has a plan for me. And they might not be exactly the same. And I noticed when we pulled in, on your board is Jeremiah 29:11. The plans He has for you are to prosper and not for harm. So you can trust Him. Anyway, I'll get more into that as we go, but go ahead. For such a time as this, what does God ask you to do? You can go to the next. And who knows whether you're brought to the kingdom for such a time as this. I want to share a little story about this couple. This is Brother Eleazar and Mana Rosa Irma. They're originally from El Salvador. They were saved in the church that Brother Dross pastored in El Salvador years ago. When they were in their 20s, they got married and they started their family. And Brother Eleazar makes those light up signs, like, you know, the big McDonald's M that has lights in it? Well, that was his business. He makes those kind of lights or signs or whatever you call that. So he made a trip to Guatemala City, and he thought, wow, they don't have this business here. Maybe I should start my business in Guatemala. So he moved his family to Guatemala City, and every Saturday they would drive back to San Salvador, about 4 hours, plus the border, which could be, I don't know how many hours. And they would go to service on Sunday morning. They were very faithful. Then Sunday afternoon, they would drive back to Guatemala. After a few years of doing this, the Lord began to speak to Brother Eleazar's heart, and he talked to Sister Rosa Irma and said, you know what? There's no church in this country. Why don't we start having Bible study in the garage? I'll pull the car out, and we'll just put some chairs around, and we'll start Bible study. You know, my cousin came with me to work, and then, you know, this other brother, he came with me to work, and so we'll start Bible study with them and invite the neighbors, and that's just what we will do. So that's what he did. Brother Eleazar never became a pastor, but he was a soul winner. He actually petitioned back then, it was called Foreign Missions, now it's Global Missions, to send a missionary in 1977. The first missionary arrived in Guatemala. It wasn't me. There was other ones before me. When they petitioned, then they sent someone, and the church was started in the country of Guatemala. And let's go to the next slide. Because this couple didn't want to be alone and not have a church where they lived, we now have 288 churches, 314 ministers, and 30,000 members of our churches because a couple made a decision to do something for the Lord. Brother Eleazar and Sister Rosa Irma are still faithful saints. I took that picture just before I left to come to the States in June. They're still faithful to service. He's blind now. He still preaches. He's never been a pastor and never plans to be. But the Lord still used him because he did something for the Lord and stepped into his purpose. There is now a work in the entire nation of Guatemala because he did what he could. Go ahead. How do you go? Oh, I guess this is a short one. Another one. You can invest in the work in Guatemala. God is so good. We have so many projects always, but you know what? Those two pictures that I chose to put up on the screen, they've both been sponsored. I needed $30,000 to build a church and a Bible school, and not a church that I visited, But a church in California called and said, is there a project for about 30,000 that we could support? It was like, yeah, just happen to have one of those. And then the other one as well, we needed 10,000, and someone else wrote in and said, can we send it? You know how amazing that is? It wasn't where I was talking about it, but the Lord took care of it anyway. Isn't it awesome how he can do that? Go ahead. I'm just so blessed. I think the next one was talking about me. Thank you. Thank you, folks. You have supported this missionary since 2009. I think you need to give yourself a hand. You see, everything that happens on the field is made possible because of people that, like you, that invest in the work. I think the slide before talked about me. I've been on the field now 36 years. I've spent more time in Central America than I have in Canada. I'm now the supervising missionary of the country. And if anyone understands Latin culture, I think the Lord has a sense of humor, because usually a lady is not going to be the supervising missionary of a Hispanic country. But that's just how it worked out. I'm, just doing what the Lord asked me to do. I'm not sure why. I'm also the founder and president of the orphanage that we tried to see the video of. It's okay, I'll talk about it in a minute. And I've also been asked to be a global educator. This means I get to travel to different countries and train our Bible school teachers. Now, I don't have the degrees. I think they just grandfathered or grandmothered me into the program because I've been teaching Bible school for 30 plus years. And they've allowed me to continue, but what a blessing to be able to invest in the people that are teaching and training in every country. Isn't God good? Go ahead. So how do you go from a couple with 2 children, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, to 30,000 people in a number of years? It's through Bible school training. That's how you do it. I'm never going to learn those 23, I almost said 23, those 23 languages. I'm not that smart. But those people can come to Bible school, go back to their village, and teach the Word of God in their language and their culture. Is that not how you can reach a nation? That's what we've seen happen in the country of Guatemala. Go ahead. Right now, we have 330 students in our Bible school. We have 16 schools around the nation, 2 under construction, and just last weekend, we dedicated a Bible school that's above the clouds. It's about 11,000 feet above sea level. You drive up through the mountains, you hit the clouds, and you go for 2 more hours, and that's where our Bible school is. The Hensons from Michigan sponsored that Bible school, and they had a big celebration last weekend and dedicated that Bible school to the Lord. Isn't that awesome? So the people up in those mountains don't have to do the 9-hour trip down the mountains to the city. They get to study in their own region, and our goal is to have a Bible school in each district so that they can continue to reach the people in their area and their language. Go ahead. So, sorry, I'm getting out of breath. This picture of different Bible school training seminars that I've had the privilege to participate in. One was Honduras, another Ecuador, and the other one was in Guatemala with teachers coming from El Salvador. It has been amazing. It has brought the level of teaching and the way it's being taught through the GATS program, Global Association of Theological Studies. So what we're teaching in Guatemala, they're also teaching in China, in Africa, whatever part of the world. If they're teaching Acts, we're receiving the same material. It's amazing how it has brought the world up to a better, greater standard to be able to teach our teachers and our pastors. But I want to share a story with you. Are you good with stories? I want to share something that happened last November. I think it's the next picture, and I think it's hilarious. The Beast and Your Mother's Memorial Offering. So this little lady, her name is Sister Oneda. She graduated from Bible school in November, and we were there for a GATS teacher training seminar, and we're also invited to stay for the graduation. So, of course, I like to talk to everybody, and I congratulated the graduates and had a chance to talk to a few of them. So I met Sister Oneida and I asked her, where did you study? How long did it take you to graduate? Tell me your story. She said, oh, sister, she said, it took me 6 years to graduate. Once a month, I would rent a beast and I would go over the mountains on the back of that beast for 7 hours. Through rain or shine, then I would get on the back of a pickup truck and stand for 2 hours, and then I would get to the village where we have a Bible school. I did that 1 week every month for 6 years. And she said, she continued to go on, and she's talking about it, and I kept going back, sister, why do you call it a beast? She said, you go to the rent-a-beast store. I said, no, I don't know what a rent-a-beast store is. So could you please tell me what is a rent-a-beast store? She said, well, sister, we go to the store or the place that rents these beasts. And she said, sometimes it's a horse, sometimes it's a mule, and sometimes it's a donkey. So I never know what animal I'm going to have, so it's called rent-a-beast. But the best part of that story is I went to the director of the Bible school, and I said, oh, brother, isn't it wonderful, Sister Oneida, the sacrifices that she made to travel over the mountains and go to Bible school. What faithfulness. And I was congratulating their program for Bible school there. And he said, oh, but sister, he said, we receive funds from Mother's Memorial Offering, goes to each nation. And in Honduras, he is the director, and he decides where the funds are needed the most. He used your lady's offering to rent her beast every month for 6 years. So ladies, you paid for her beast for 6 years. Thank you. Thank you for making it possible for Sister Oneida to go to Bible school. And let me continue this story. Since then, her pastor and the pastor's wife, they now travel to another mountain region, and they've already started another work in a remote village because you made it possible for her to go to Bible school. I think you need to give yourselves a hand. That's awesome. Thank you, ladies. I know that you're so faithful about giving your offerings. I think it's in May, is it not? That they give around Mother's Day or something. That those funds really do get to us on the field. They really do make a difference. You make it possible for pastors who were not able to pay for Bible school to be able to come to Bible school. In fact, in our country, we kind of make it a rule that in order to get your ordination, you have to have been to our Bible school. So you make it possible for some of these people that don't have the funds to pay it, or the funds to be able to get there, just like Sister Oneida. So that's pretty amazing. Okay, go ahead. So I took this picture. I was sitting at a red light, and I thought it was hilarious because, the people are riding on the top of the bus. Well, that's not legal. But there's a policeman, like he's blind, like I see nothing, I see nothing, I see nothing. And he's just letting the bus go by while I'm sitting at the red light going the other way. But I thought this picture really lets you know what it's like to ride the buses in Guatemala. Now, I got robbed on an average about once a week. In Spanish, I always say I've got a dollar sign that glows on my forehead. Can you see